Sometimes, behind the brightest smile, there's a heart full of untold emotions. A universe of feeling exists in the quiet space between a public persona and a private soul. We see the glittering surface, the effortless charm, the quick wit, the seemingly unshakable confidence, and we mistake it for the entirety of the person. We forget that the brightest lights often cast the deepest shadows, and within those shadows reside the most tender, vulnerable, and profoundly human parts of us all. And today, that's exactly what happened with Mark Consuelos. For decades, he has been a fixture in the public eye, a man synonymous with a particular kind of magnetic charm and a love for his wife, Kelly Ripa, that felt both legendary and refreshingly real. They were the couple who made you believe in the possibility of a lasting, joyful partnership in the fickle world of fame. Their dynamic on Live with Kelly and Mark was a masterclass in affectionate teasing and shared history, a daily testament to a love that had not only endured, but thrived. From the outside, their life was a masterpiece of success and familial bliss. A beautiful wife, 3 accomplished children, a career that spanned decades. It was, by all accounts, flawless. But today, under the bright, unforgiving lights of the studio, Mark Consuelos showed the world a side of him we've rarely seen. The armor of humor and charm fell away, piece by piece, revealing not a weaker man, but a stronger, more complete one. The emotional, vulnerable father and husband, whose heart, like all hearts, aches with the beautiful, painful passage of time. The conversation began lightly, a gentle meander through recent events, but then a question about family, about this new chapter of life now that their children were grown, touched a nerve, a deep, resonant chord that had been humming just beneath the surface. You could see the shift in his posture, a slight slump of the shoulders, as if the weight of the emotion was something tangible he was finally allowing himself to feel. His eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, grew soft and distant, looking at a point somewhere beyond the cameras, somewhere in the cherished past. He said softly, the cadence of his voice slower, more deliberate, "People think we have it all, but sometimes what you miss most are the small, everyday moments, the ones you don't even think to photograph because they just feel ordinary." In that one sentence, he dismantled the entire illusion of celebrity perfection. He wasn't talking about red carpets or awards. He was talking about the sacred currency of family life, the mundane, the messy, the gloriously unremarkable. The echoing hallways. He then opened the door to his quiet home, inviting millions into the silence he and Kelly now inhabited. He spoke of his children, Michael with his serious actor's ambition, Lola with her artist's soul and soaring voice, Joaquin with his focused drive and intellectual curiosity, and the profound shift that occurred when they all moved out to start their own lives. "The house," he began, his voice already thick with feeling, it suddenly felt too quiet, not peaceful, not at first, empty. For the first time in over 20 years, it was just Kelly and me. No noise, no laughter echoing from the upstairs, no chaos in the kitchen in the morning, just silence. He described this silence not as a luxury, but as a presence, a void that echoed with the ghosts of laughter and life. He paused, a long, meaningful pause, where the entire audience held its breath. He looked down at his hands, then back up, and his voice cracked, a fissure through which pure emotion spilled into the room. "I used to complain," he admitted, a sheepish, pained smile touching his lips. "I'd come home and trip over a pile of shoes in the hallway. I'd grumble about the music playing too late at night, the constant stream of friends coming and going, the mess in the living room. And now," he swallowed hard, "I'd give anything to hear that music blaring from Lola's room at 1 a.m. I'd gladly break my toe on Michael's size 12 sneakers again. I'd welcome the chaos, the beautiful, messy, loud chaos of a family home." It was a confession every parent, present or future, understood in their bones. It was the universal paradox of parenthood, the desperate longing for a moment's peace amidst the storm, and the devastating emptiness when the storm finally passes. Kelly, sensing the tidal wave of feeling washing over him, reached over and placed her hand over his. It wasn't a dramatic gesture, but a simple, grounding one. Her eyes, glistening with unshed tears, were fixed on him, a silent testament to a shared experience. In that moment, the television set, the audience, the fame, it all melted away. There were no celebrities on that stage. There was only a husband and a wife, holding on to each other in the quiet aftermath of a life well lived, mourning and celebrating the same thing. The stretching heart. Mark, gathering himself, smiled through his tears as he began to speak about each of his children individually. He didn't list their accomplishments like a resume. He painted portraits of their spirits. He talked about Michael's quiet determination, Lola's fiery passion, Joaquin's gentle strength. He said, "They're all out there chasing their dreams, becoming these incredible people, and I am so proud of them. We are so proud. But as a dad," he trailed off, searching for the words, "as a dad, part of me will always want them home. It's a selfish feeling, I know, but it's true." Then he offered a piece of poetry that seemed to come from the very core of his father's soul. He laughed softly, a wet, emotional sound, and said, "A father's heart never empties, it just stretches wider." The sentence hung in the air, perfect and profound. It wasn't about the love diminishing, it was about expanding, becoming more elastic, capable of spanning cities and states, stretching across the miles to enfold his children wherever they went. It was the anatomy of a parent's love, a heart that grows new chambers for absence, for pride, for worry, for hope. Kelly looked at him, her expression one of such pure, unadulterated love that it was almost palpable. She said, with her voice still steady but thick with emotion, "That's exactly what love looks like." She wasn't just his wife in that moment. She was his witness, his fellow traveler on this journey of letting go. The tapestry of a marriage. From the quiet of an empty nest, his mind then traveled back through time to the very beginning of their story. He looked at Kelly, and for a moment it was as if they were the only two people in the room. He recalled meeting on the set of All My Children, and from that first day, something just clicked. It wasn't just that she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, it was a feeling, a certainty. He smiled as he recounted their legendary elopement to Las Vegas, calling it the best kind of crazy. He described the whirlwind, the adrenaline, the sheer audacious joy of it. It was us against the world from the start, we just knew. But then his tone grew softer, more introspective, shifting from the fairy tale beginning to the beautiful, hard work of building a forever. He said, "People think marriage is easy when you're in love, but the truth is, the real unvarnished truth, is that it takes work. It takes patience and a lot of forgiveness. It takes choosing each other every day, even on the days you don't particularly like each other." He was offering not a platitude, but a blueprint. Kelly and I, we've laughed until we cried. We've cried until we had nothing left. We've fought, we've made up, we've supported each other's dreams, we've picked each other up from failures, we've lived a whole life. And that history, that shared ground is what makes us strong. It's the foundation. He looked at her, his eyes tracing the lines of her face, seeing not just the woman beside him, but the entire journey they had shared. "When I look at her," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "I still see the girl I fell in love with on that soundstage, so full of fire and life. And I see the woman who stood by me, who built a family with me, who made me a better man, a better father, a better person." Kelly's composure held so gracefully until now, finally broke. A single tear traced a path down her cheek, and she didn't bother to wipe it away. She leaned toward him, her world narrowing to his face. "And you're still my heart," she whispered, her voice cracking with the weight of 1,000 shared mornings and 1,000,000 shared memories. The studio was utterly, profoundly silent. You could have heard a pin drop. There was no need for applause or music. The air itself was thick with the raw, powerful energy of their love, a love that had been tested, tempered, and proven true over nearly 3 decades. It was a sacred moment, witnessed by millions, yet intimately private. The lesson in the letting go. As the show neared its end, Mark turned from Kelly and faced the audience, the camera, the world. He had a message, not from a celebrity, but from a man who had just stared directly into one of life's great bittersweet transitions. "If you're lucky enough to have a family," he said, his eyes scanning the faces in the crowd, connecting with each person on a human level, "hold them close. I mean, really, hold them close. Time, it passes faster than you can ever imagine. It tricks you. You're in the middle of the chaos, the soccer practices, the school plays, the teenage dramas, and you think it will never end. And then, in a blink, it does.